Hi guys, I hope that you are very well, doing very well at your home, safe and sound, happy and healthy. I have made my this YouTube channel in order to provide you some additional information about the courses I teach. Currently I am teaching three courses, English phonetics and phonology to the students of BS Part 2 and MA previous linguistics. Research methodology, introduction to research methodology to students of BS for literature, BS for linguistics, MA final linguistics, and MA final literature. And then introduction to psychology. I am putting my regular lectures and lessons on learning management system, which Shabdrat University Khairpur has provided, has launched. I am putting my lectures over there, regular lectures and course contents there. I intend to put these videos on YouTube channel in order to provide you additional information on these courses, on the key subjects, on the key topics and the key concepts on these courses. So first of all, the most important thing is to define what is language. Today's my lecture is on what is language. Language is so a common phenomena in our everyday lives, in the lives of human beings, that we don't think about what is language. It is so common, just like air, just like water. We use it every day, but we don't think what is language. So there are two ways to define anything. One is a subjective point of view, from subjective point of view. The other is from objective point of view. As linguistics is a scientific subject, so that's why we will define language scientifically and objectively. For example, if you have been asked, if you will be asked what define water, define air, how will you define them? You will define water as something we drink, something on which we depend. It's the soul of life. It is, we can't live without water. So if you define water in that way, it is a subjective way of defining water. It is not objective way. It is not scientific way. The scientific definition of water is the elements of hydrogen gas and oxygen gas. H2O, two elements of hydrogen, one element of oxygen. We can call it water. All the other definitions are subjective definitions or explanations of water. In the same way, when you define language, what is language? There are so many ways to define language because it's so ordinary, it is so common in our everyday lives that we even don't think about it. We may say it is the something we communicate through it, something we talk, something we express ourselves. But the scientific definitions I have provided a few definitions of language. One is from David Crystal's Encyclopedia of Language, the Cambridge Encyclopedia of Language. David Crystal says, language is the systematic, conventional use of signs, sounds, or written symbols in a human society for communication and self-expression. A Routledge Dictionary of Language and Linguistics define language as a specific system of signs and combinatory rules which are arbitrary but passed on as conventions. Encyclopedia Britannica defines language as language is a system of conventional, spoken, manual, signed or written symbols by means of which human beings as members of a social group and participants in its culture express themselves. The functions of language include communication, the expression of identity, play, imaginative expression, and emotional release. So in these three definitions, these are all linguistic definitions of language. I have chosen the most appropriate definition or the definition which I like most, which appeals me most. That is this one. Language is the arbitrary system of sounds and symbols used by human beings for communication. So this definition carries 6 elements which are the basic elements of language and which carries all of the elements which David Crystal defines, which Encyclopedia of Britannica defines, and which Routledge Dictionary of Language and Linguistics define or include. All these elements are in this definition. That is, language is the arbitrary system of sounds and symbols used by human beings for communication. Now let us explain this definition and the elements in this definition one by one. It will be very clear that what does language mean, which we use every day. So first element in this definition is that language is arbitrary. If you call it that it is the first characteristic of language, that is, language is arbitrary. So what do we mean by arbitrary? Arbitrary means something without logic, something without a reason. So all the rules of language are arbitrary. All the rules of language are without any reason, without any logic. So don't say that there are no rules. There are rules in the language, but all these rules are arbitrary, without logic, without a reason. Let us see at the level of sounds, at the level of phonemes, why it is so that t is silent in listen. The sound letter D gives us a soldier pronunciation. Right, W is silent in right. GH are silent in the word right. So WRITE and RIGHT both are homophones, same pronunciation. So if you want to ask somebody the reason why it is so, why T is silent in listen, why there is a DI in soldier, so nobody can give you the proper answer, because they will say that it is arbitrary, it is without any logic, without any reason. It is so. We have learned it conventionally from the native speakers, that's why we are using it. Dictionary says that you should pronounce it like that. Teachers say that you should pronounce like that. Native speakers say that you should pronounce like that. And you should write like that. So without any reason, without any logic. So let us say arbitrary at the level of grammar. When we say I play, they play, we play, but for the third person singular we always say she plays, she walks, it works, it happens. So why we put ace with these third person singular? So it's still same answer, no logic, no reason, because it is arbitrary. In the second way to define arbitrary at another level, it is the level of creating past and past participle of the verbs. There are different ways to make past and past participle from the verbs. First is to put D at the end of these verbs, or put ED at the end of these verbs, and some other irregular verbs provide us. Every word has a different way to make its past participle and past. So as ask, asked, asked, aid, added, added. But why come and came and come? Why write, wrote and written? Why read, read, read? The spelling is same, just the difference of pronunciation. And you can put same words, same pronunciation at three levels. Cut, same pronunciation and same words at the end. So these are some rules. Yes, I'm repeating again, these are rules, but these rules are arbitrary. There is no reason behind these rules, there is no logic behind these rules. So the most important thing, that language is arbitrary at the level of meaning. In the semantics you have studied that meaning is arbitrary. The word B-I-R-D, we call it bird, the something which exists in the outward reality. Tree, T-R-E-E, red, belonging to color, and the phrase like to stand up and sit down. These are the words with some particular definition, with some particular spelling. They mean something. But what is the relationship of these words with their meaning? So again, it is without any reason, without any logic, because this is arbitrary. we will study in detail signifier and signified pattern and dissociative concepts of meaning in semantics and general linguistics. But very briefly, I am describing. For example, tomorrow onward, few people agree on some words and their meanings. So those words will carry a particular meaning for them on which they agree. For example, if we say it is sit down and stand up, sit down and stand up. So we agree in the classroom that when we say sit down and stand up, so if we agree on it, all of the class will understand the meaning of these words, apart from what is the conventional meaning of these words. So again, it is proved that meaning is arbitrary. Then the second element in this definition is a system, pattern. Pattern at the level of spelling, at the level of pronunciation, at the level of grammar, sentence, phrase, clause. All the language is arranged in a system, in a pattern. Whenever it is out of the system, out of the pattern, we will not be able to recognize it. But when it is arranged in the system, we will recognize it. For example, when there are three letters, Y, B, O, we will not recognize it. What does it mean? B, Y, O, same three letters, but we will not recognize. Dictionary will not tell you what these words mean. But when these same three words are arranged in a sequence, in a system, in a pattern, that is, when we say B-O-Y, everybody will recognize that this is the word. Dictionary will tell you the meaning of this word. Why? Because it is arranged in a pattern, it is arranged in a system. In the same way, when we say O-O-K-B, we don't find any word in dictionary. When we say B-K-O-O, still we can't recognize it. But when we say B-O-O-K, everybody will recognize it, that it is book. So how we do that? Because B-O-O-K, these letters are arranged in a system, in a sequence, in a pattern. So that is why we recognize them. Otherwise, when the same letters are out of the system, out of the arrangement, out of the pattern, we will not recognize them. So at the level of letters, this is the system. System at the level of sentence structure. When we say the school boys study in, we can't catch the meaning of this sentence. When we say in study the boys school, still we are unable to recognize it. When we say boys school they study in, we can't recognize it. Same words when we arrange in a sequence, in a system, and when we say the boys study in the school, we can recognize it, we can understand it, we can give the meaning of it. So here again it is the system, it is the pattern that tells us the language is a system, language is some patterning. Then third element in this definition is, first was language is arbitrary. What arbitrary? The system. The third one is symbol. Everything in language is a symbol. It may be the letters, sounds, phonemes, words, meaning, everything is symbol. And we code and decode these symbols. The native speakers and the learners of those languages code and decode these symbols. So what does symbol mean? Symbol is something which represents something else. There are so many different fields where symbols are used. In sports, you see, symbols are used, gestures are used. In mathematics, in aviation, in traffic, in physics, in chemistry, almost in every subject, in every field, symbols are used, signs are used. There is another semiotics, the study of signs, study of symbols. But as far as the symbols of language are concerned, so all these are symbols. Letters of alphabet are symbols. Phonemes and sounds are symbols. Whatever you are now hearing me, you are hearing just symbols. You are hearing just sounds. And then you recognize these sounds, decode these sounds in your mind, and then you decode its meaning. What does it mean when we put different things into symbols and decode them? So basically everything, letters, phonemes and sounds, meaning, these are symbols. And the fifth element in this definition is by human beings. There are other languages as well. For example, when we talk about non-verbal language, body language, semiotics, that is also sign language, language of birds and animals, these are also languages. Intelligence agencies use different types of languages, coding and decoding, symbols, birds language, but with which we are concerned, with which linguistics is concerned, that is oral language, spoken language, which human beings use. That is particularly we mean here. We don't mean the language of animals, we don't mean the birds language, we don't mean non-verbal language, we don't mean semiotics or sign language. The last element in this definition is for communication purpose. It is scientifically proved, the research findings say that 85% of our communication is done through non-verbal means, through body language and through paralinguistic features. 85% of our communication is done through non-verbal language, body language and paralinguistic features. Only 15% language, 15% communication which is done through oral language, through spoken language. And you will find in your courses, in course books, so many different functions of language. 4 macro functions of language and so many, 30 or more than 30 micro functions of language. One out of these functions, one function is communication. There are so many expression of emotions, emphatic function, poetic function of language, so many other functions of language, but one function of language is for communication purpose. So here we say, and we define the language in today's video. We define language, the language from scientific point of view, from linguistic point of view. Language is an arbitrary system of sounds and symbols used by human beings for communication. This is the definition I prefer, I like most. It carries all of the elements which are very important elements in human language. Apart from it, I provided you the definition by David Crystal. I provided you definition in the Routledge Dictionary of Language and Linguistics and in the Encyclopedia of Britannica. So I wish you all the best. Regularly you visit Learning Management System software program at Shabrat University, Khairpur, and you will see my regular lessons and lectures there, and regularly visit this my YouTube channel, where I will provide you, once again I say that I will provide you additional information on the key concepts in the courses I teach in English phonetics and phonology, in research methodology and in psychology. Thank you very much. Stay happy, stay blessed.